He won't let you go, but that doesn't mean he loves you. Or it could mean he loves you. Could be a lot of different reasons why this man refuses to either leave you or leave you alone. Why maybe you've tried to push him out the way, but he just keeps coming back over and over. Or why he won't even allow you to close the door on him because he's begging, he's pleading, he's crying, he's doing whatever it takes to hold on to you for dear life. And it can be confusing for you. It can make things very difficult for you. It could cause a conflict of them. Should I hold on to this man because his efforts makes me feel like he loves me? But what's really going on here? So I need to explain to you why this phenomenon happens to so many people, but I want to start off with a little story. I knew of a situation, all right, where there was a young guy who was in a relationship for a few years. And during this relationship, this man was all over the damn place. I'm not even gonna lie to you. He was in these streets, all right? He was in these streets hard. And people would question him, like, you're with your girl and you seem to need fulfillment elsewhere. What's going on? And he would rave about his woman. His woman is great and she's this and she's that. But people are like, okay, but that doesn't make any sense. And he would make the argument, well, he's just a man and that's what men do. It's no big deal, right? But it was like, nah, this doesn't make sense. Because even though to some of y'all, I'm sure you've heard this before, that, well, it doesn't matter how great the woman is, men are just going to cheat. No, it's not how it works with everybody, all right? But let's keep going in this story. So it didn't seem right. And again, me knowing of this situation, I was around at that time, and I was like, nah, something's going on here. Because it just felt like there was a deeper rooted issue to what was going on. So before we even got to the deeper rooted issue, individuals tried to convince this man to leave his relationship. It was like, yo, something's clearly missing, or something's not right, or you're simply not ready for this level of commitment. If she's a good girl, let her go. Leave her alone, be done. And he'd be like, nah, man, I can't do it. Still, baffled by this, we're like, okay, we just, and when I say we, the people in his life, the people that knew him, we wanted to dig deeper. So we dug deeper and we found that in some of his previous relationships, and we'll say one specifically, he had been with a woman for a while and never cheated. So we're like, wait a minute, hold up. You're claiming this is a man thing for you to be out here doing your thing despite holding on for dear life to this woman, but you've been in a relationship for years and not cheated before. So you've shown the capability to be completely faithful. What the hell is going on? He still tried to dismiss it, push it away. Nah, it's just, whatever. He really didn't have an answer, okay? Now listen, no one could control what this man did. It was totally on him, but it was just crazy to see the situation continue. But as time went on, finally there was a, I guess, come to Jesus moment, you could say. And this man revealed how, one, he was never alone. And that's the first thing I want to point out here. One of the reasons why he won't let you go is because he's afraid to be alone. He's afraid to have to be by himself. I think we speak about this issue in regards to a lot of women, but we don't highlight it enough when it comes to men. There are some men out there who have always had someone there, all right? Girlfriend, situationship, something's going on. But even more specifically, a relationship. And they are not accustomed to being single. And regardless of whether they want to live a single life, and again, as I said earlier, run these streets, they feel more at ease and they feel more secure, more safe having a girlfriend, having a woman, having a partner there. And in some cases, hell, even a wife. And so for this man, he struggled to let go out of the fear of how to function by himself. There was this void, there was this deeper insecurity within him. And now listen, I'm not saying this to in any way make what he did okay. or to validate it. I'm explaining to you what the issue is, and I want you to be aware of this because, again, if you are dealing with a man who you two need to go in separate ways, but he's not letting go, consider that this might be one of the roadblocks, all right? And so, again, this man fought it every turn, but his fear was something that he had to face. Now, anyone who's afraid to be alone has to face that, because you don't ever want to be in a situation where you don't know how to walk away from something that isn't best for you, as well as isn't best for that person, because he wasn't getting what he needed and his partner wasn't getting what he needed. They were both being cheated in this relationship. And so it's only fair, it's only right, it's only in the best interest of everyone involved to walk away. But that fear of being alone is a huge, huge issue. Now, let's continue with this. So we discovered he had this fear of being alone, right? But what else was it? Like, okay, is that really all it was here? Well, in his situation, no, it didn't stop there. And so another issue that we discovered was he felt like she would always be there for him. Essentially, she would never leave. And so, of course, this doesn't apply to a situation where you're trying to let go of this man and he won't let go. But some of you are with a man who you know in your heart is not best for you. All right? And when I say is not best for you, it doesn't always mean he's a bad guy. It doesn't always mean he's quote unquote actively toxic or blatantly toxic. It just means you know your heart is not here, or you don't belong here, or there's a disconnect in this relationship, or maybe that this started from a poor foundation. Like, again, it may have started because you were afraid to be alone. It may have started because you were in a vulnerable moment and the timing just happened to line up where he was able to walk through that door and now you don't know how to walk out of it. You know what I'm saying? There could be a variety of reasons that create unhealthy attachments to individuals. But again, for whatever the reason is, you're there, you know you shouldn't be there, or there's something in you that's not at peace, fully at peace being there. So you're not making anything happen. And for him, he views you as, this woman has my back. She is essentially the ride or die chick. For those of you who may not be familiar with that term, it's essentially the woman who will put up and go through any and every damn thing and stay by that man's side. And I do not encourage anyone to be a ride or die chick when it comes to tolerating nonsense, when it comes to remaining where they don't belong, when it comes to accepting things you should not accept, all right? But I've seen situations where the man views this woman as so loyal, as she will always be there, that I cannot afford to let this one go, even if I'm not in love with her, even if I know I am unable, or even in some cases unwilling to be the man she needs. She is viewed as too valuable of an asset, so to speak, because of her loyalty, because of the safety she provides, that she is not going to walk away. Now, again, I'm giving you a reason, and a reason that applied in this story that I'm telling you. But it damn sure is not a reason for you to continue to be there. And what you as a woman have to understand is you cannot wait on this man to do the right thing. You cannot hope that if something is missing, that he will be willing to call it out, that he will be willing to take the right approach, that again, that he will do right by you. It's going to be about you making a decision and sticking to it. And when you can understand that this is not where you belong, for whatever the reason is, you've got to be willing to let go. You've got to be willing to move forward without this man. But understand that, yes, not only will he not let you go, but that's another example of where you may even try to let him go and he will fight you every step of the way. And do not expect any man who is with you for the wrong reasons to let go of you for the right ones. And that just came to me. That just kind of hit me real quick, but that sounds real damn good because it's true. Like, you cannot expect him to process this correctly and say this is the right thing to do when he is the wrong man for you in the first place. All right? And that's why he even allowed himself to get with you, because he's not seeing things the right way. But let's move along. Now, I don't want to stay too much on the story because we got some other points that don't apply to the story. But let me just wrap up the story real quick. So, afraid to be alone. Felt like the loyalty was too valuable to let go of. All right? And I'm going to give you one more before to end this situation. He was afraid, or he did not know how to function without this woman. So a lot of men have become so attached to a woman. And again, it could be he's been with her 3 years, 5 years. Hell, there's some situations where the man's been with the woman 10, 12 years, 15 years. Maybe not even married her this whole time. But his life has centered around her doing things for him, her holding him down, her running the household if they're living together. Everything is so much on her that now he fears, how the hell am I going to get through a day without this woman? Now, not being able to function without you and valuing you in that way does not mean he values you the right way. Does not mean he's in love with you. Does not mean he is going to step up and to be the man he needs to be. It just means that he has become so reliant on you that he is afraid to let that go. And you may think, well, listen, if he's not into me like that, why can't he just get some other woman to do it? Why can't he just lean on someone else? That's the simple answer. But people get so conditioned and so used to an individual being there, it's just a very difficult transition. And again, I don't say that to give that man any sympathy. I say it to explain to you what's happening, the dynamic that's occurring in a lot of situations. So his struggle to be able to stand on his own 2 feet creates another attachment that causes him to hold on to you. And this is another reason why I have to say before I wrap this story up, don't get me wrong. I am all for a woman being supportive of a man, and I don't think there's anything wrong with a woman who's holding down the households, right? I do think there's a problem with a relationship where the woman is everything, where the man cannot function on his own, all right? I would encourage all individuals to learn how to function as single individuals who then come together and make a stronger unit. Even if in that unit, when we're together, we may have different roles. We may have different things that we focus our energies on. You know, let's just say she's cooking and cleaning and the man is providing and paying for the bills. If that's the thing that works for you, awesome. But that doesn't mean lack the ability to do in cases where that person is unavailable. It does not mean become so overly reliant on this person that now you become unhealthily attached to this individual and you cannot walk away. We have to be able to create an environment that allows us to, again, to stand on our own 2 feet, but to be able to rely and come together with someone. There is a balance that we have to strike with that. And so in this situation, that balance did not exist. And because it did not exist, again, he was heavily attached. Now, to wrap up this story, eventually, they went their own way and moved on to bigger and better things. Thank God. You know what I'm saying? Things had to happen. But it's just, in some situations or a lot of situations, there's never a breakup. Or it don't happen till, again, 15, 20, 30 years later. It don't happen till way more damage is done. And we got to be careful with falling into that trap. We've got to be careful with allowing these things to get the best of us, all right? So those are 3 quick ones, but I have some more points to lay out as to why he won't let you go. But before I do, real quick, get your copy of the book, He's Lying, Sis, all right? Which actually has a chapter in there called He Won't Let You Go, but that doesn't mean he loves you. Best-selling book, women are loving it. Click the link in the description or in the comments section. Now, I named some toxic things, and we got a couple more toxic reasons to list as to why he won't let you go. But let's talk about one that's not toxic, all right? And that is, he won't let you go because he genuinely loves you. I know if you follow me, I talk a lot about being in a wrong relationship. And let me preface this by saying, him Loving or caring about you doesn't automatically mean this is the right man for you or the right relationship. But I do want us to understand that not every man's attempt to hold on to a woman is something sinister or toxic or negative. Well, it can still be toxic the way that you look at it, but it's not with blatant malicious intent. He generally cares. He generally feels that he loves you. And I'll tell you why I said feel. And so he wants to hold on and he doesn't want to lose you. And he, values you in his life. And one of the big keys to understanding if this man is coming from a place of at least perceived love, and when I say perceived, him perceiving that within himself, is what he's willing to do in order to make things work. So my thing is this: if you have a man who's holding on to you, but when you try to address the issues, he got excuses, he's got dismissal, he's calling you crazy, everything but actually fixing the problem or trying to fix it, then that man is clearly holding on to you for selfish, toxic reasons. End of story. But then there's that man who, again, at least either loves you or feels he loves you. And as long as he knows what the issue is, he's willing to try to work on this. And I say know what the issue is because there's so many situations where the man just doesn't know what the problem is. You haven't properly laid it out for him. He doesn't comprehend how you're feeling. Sometimes that is due to maybe his lack of connection with you to understand on a deeper level what's going on. But you have to make sure as a woman that you have done your part to fully lay out and explain what the concerns and the issues are and what the triggers are for you. And then you'll see how he handles that, which shows you where he's really trying to come from in his attempts to make things work. But I would also say, not just in him initially trying to fix it, but the consistency in it. Because there are many toxic men who could, for a week or two, try to do right, but then immediately go back to their old ways once they feel like they got you back in a comfortable space. All right? So it's about consistency. But I feel in my spirit the need to tell you one thing about this whole consistency part. If you want to see consistency, you also have to make sure you're acknowledging the effort. One of the things I've seen in a lot of situations, and I'm thinking a lot about my sessions with married couples, where let's say there's been issues for a long time, things have not been addressed properly for a while. So there's been a lot of bickering, there's been a lot of back and forth. Finally, it reaches that point where they're trying to get counseling, they're trying to get help. The wife says, this is my problem. Boom, 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 boom. He doesn't do this, he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that. All right? Husband hears that. He has his beefs too, but right now he's trying to make things right with his wife. So he's like, all right, cool, I'm going to do it. So for the next 2 weeks, let's say, he's going hard and he's making forth the effort, right? But because the wife has gone through, and this can apply to long-term girlfriends, wife, whoever. Because the woman has gone through an extended period of time of nonsense with this man or struggles with this man, she may now have a harder time fully trusting this is real. And in her mind, it's like, I need to see more of this before I embrace it. But unfortunately, your unwillingness to embrace the effort and acknowledge it makes him feel like his efforts are futile. Makes him feel like, what is the point of me doing all this if she's still looking at me sideways, if she's still talking that way to me, if she still thinks this isn't real or I'm not being genuine? That is discouraging to that man who's really trying to make an effort. Now, yes, we can make the argument that true change does not need acknowledgement, so to speak, because when it's who you are, it's who you are. But we have to be reasonable that in relationships, when someone is trying to become accustomed to a new behavior, become accustomed to a new approach to things, it can take some time. Rome wasn't built in a day. And so you have to make sure that if someone is making the effort, you have to acknowledge it. You want to make sure you're doing your part during that time, during that process. And then, and my thing is this: if they're real and they're genuine, they will keep it up when you're pouring back into them in that way. If they're not genuine and they're being manipulative, they will still fall off. They will still go back to their old ways because your reciprocation, your acknowledgement will make them even more comfortable. So you're only going to expose them more by doing it. So I highly encourage you to do it. All right. So getting back to the main point here is, yes, the man feels that he loves you. And the reason why I say feel is because, listen, I've had some situations where men came to me, asking me for advice, trying to figure out how to hold on to their woman, how to make this work. They don't want to lose her. And, they would say, I love her, she means the world to me, so on and so forth. But when we dug deeper, what we found was an unhealthy attachment, not love. All right. So sometimes the perception of love is not the reality of it. As well as the fact that I am a firm believer that true connection and what I would then deem true love is a two-way experience. It is both ways. And so that's why it's important for you as a woman that you don't base your evaluation of this man, this relationship solely on his efforts and his words. Because yes, he can say I love you. He can even do things that show love. That doesn't mean the fuel that is driving it is coming from love. How you will determine that, or how you will best determine it, is by asking yourself, are you truly in love with him? Because if you're not truly in love with him, then I believe, without a doubt in my mind, what you're seeing from him is not true love. It's not connection. Because again, that means it's not two ways. So he's pulling the strength to do these things from maybe fear, maybe attachment, maybe infatuation, obsession. There's other things that are actually pushing him. And this can happen both ways. You see this with women as well, trying to hold on to men that they shouldn't be holding on to. And they'll say it's love, but it's not actually love that's going on there. And that's not to devalue anyone's efforts, but it's to bring reality to what's going on in so many situations. So as a woman, you have to ask yourself, okay, do I feel a connection with this man? Am I truly in love with him? Because if you're not, it doesn't matter what he's doing. It doesn't matter if it's real, fake, love, not. It still says you shouldn't be there. It still means there is a place for you elsewhere. Maybe by yourself for a while, and then with someone else who is truly best suited for you and you best suited for them. So we have to consider that in this whole dynamic of him not letting you go. But yes, his belief of love, and in some situations, because I didn't really talk about it too much, let's just say there actually is a connection. And let's say when you ask yourself that question, deep inside, you do love this man. And again, you feel the connection with this man. But for various other reasons, you are trying to let go, or you are not willing to embrace what's in front of you. Might be your own fears. It might feel overwhelming. You may have a lot of outside noise. You may have difficult circumstances that make it hard for you to allow yourself to be with this man, or to do what's necessary in order to be with this man. All right. And so he's fighting to not let go because he's feeling what you're feeling. And so if that is the situation, I'm just going to encourage you to go deeper within yourself to address the issues that's blocking you two from coming together. Because if there is a connection there and you do love this man as he loves you, I would not want those things I just mentioned to stop two people who should be together from getting together. I want to see that happen. I want to encourage those situations. There's too many people with the wrong person. I don't want, and unfortunately, I see too many people who should be together not being together right now. I don't like this dynamic. And so, again, I want to encourage you to face those fears, to address those issues, to do what's necessary. It doesn't mean you have to jump in it right now. Maybe you got to take a step back to get things in order, but I want you to be intentional about figuring out how you can get to that point of being where you truly belong. All right. And I have to throw in, for those of you who are believers, this is why you got to talk to God. This is why you got to pray. This is why you got to figure out, how do I proceed? Not what I think I should do, not what my friends, family, pastor, whoever. No, what does God want me to do in this situation? And I feel bad saying it, but I'm going to say it because it's hitting my spirit hard. That even counts for some of y'all who are married. Now, listen, I know some of y'all going to be like, how dare you, Stephan? How can you say that? I'm not saying I'm necessarily for divorce or want divorce. But what I am saying is that a lot of people married the wrong person. A lot of people got into marriage without consulting God. And so now if you do come to God, I cannot rule out the possibility that you will have to be removed from that situation one way or another. That's not for me to decide. I don't know any one specific situation to say who this should apply to. I'm just giving you a perspective to consider and to pray about it. Let God have the final answer. I know some will say, well, why would God say that? Scripturally, it says no. Listen, go to God in prayer. That's it. Just go to God in prayer and really tap into spiritually what you're being led to do and what needs to happen. All right. And what your next step, not even what the overall answer is, divorce, this, no, just God, what do I need to do next in this situation? What do I need to do next in my relationship? And then take it from there. All right, so let's move this along. I ain't gonna lie, I kind of went on a longer spiel than I expected with that last point, but let me try to kind of more quickly get through these next points, all right? So another reason why he won't let you go is that he doesn't want to be the bad guy. And so there's a lot of situations where the man knows, and what's hitting me right now is there was a very specific scenario where I had this long talk with this guy, and he confessed to me that the only reason why he married the woman that he's with is because he was afraid to tell her no. And so essentially she kind of was like, let's get married. And he didn't know how to just be real and said yes, but his heart was never there. And so whether it's marriage, whether it's a relationship, and it may not be that's how it started, but the reality is that once in it, some men don't know how to shut the door because they don't want to, in essence, or in the way they perceive it, hurt you. Even though holding on to you, especially if they can't be the man you need, is still hurting you. But the unfortunate reality is that some men have attempted to let go and the woman fought them. You may have been in that situation where he tried to break it off because he was trying to finally shut that door, knowing this isn't where you both belong, but you didn't see it that way and you try to hold on. And that's neither here nor there. The point is, we got to recognize, one, when a man is trying to release you, don't try to fight a man who wants to leave to make him stay. All right? That's the main thing, or one of the main things to take from this. I've seen it many times where a woman's fighting a man who wants, if he is trying to let you go, all right, and you know you did your part, and you know you've been the woman you need to be, all right, do not fight it. The last thing you want to do is to pressure a man into staying with you who doesn't really want to be there. You'll never get what you need. You'll never get what you'll deserve. You will never be truly happy. You will be kicking yourself in the behind for holding on or making this guy stay with you when he should have been gone a long time ago. All right. But also, yes, you know, a lot of men struggle in this area. And this is why, as I mentioned earlier, you cannot rely on the man to do right by you. You have to do right by yourself. And so once you recognize he ain't for you, you can't wait for him to be willing to pull that trigger. Because again, there's so many different reasons why he may not. You got to do what's best. All right. And release yourself from the situation that you don't belong in. All right. So another point to make is that he does care about you, but he's not in love with you. So now this is a little bit different from the earlier example of he loves you or his perceived love, because in that situation, he feels like I love her. He may even say I'm in love with her. And that's why he's so locked into trying so hard to not let you go. But this is a scenario where he knows he's not in love with you. He knows it's just not there. You know, he understands it's not really a connection, but he does care about you. He does enjoy you. He does value aspects about you. You know what I'm saying? But he's unwilling to release that. He's unwilling to let go of the benefit that you provide in his life, even though he knows he's not fully in love with you. And unfortunately, so many people, men and women, have been conditioned to believing that you don't need to be in love to have a relationship, right? And granted, you can get in a relationship without being in love, but you're not going to have a successful, long-standing relationship and a healthy one without true love being in place. But so many have seen their parents or grandparents and friends and families function without true love being in that dynamic. And so they've convinced themselves that it's all good. As long as I do what I believe my part is, as long as I do enough, maybe not everything, but I'm doing enough, then what's wrong with it? And that's how they validate staying there and continuing this relationship. And so again, I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but this is why you cannot rely on someone to do right by you, because you don't know how they're processing this. You don't know why they're going to refuse, or they're going to struggle, or they're going to fight you on going your separate ways. But don't confuse the fight with genuine love. Don't confuse the struggle. Oh my gosh, he's having a hard time. He must love me. No. I'm sorry to laugh, but no. That doesn't mean love. There's all kinds of reasons, as I'm laying out for you, that contribute to why it's hard for him, but that doesn't mean you two need to be together. Plain and simple. So it's just something to understand and be aware of if you ever find yourself in this situation, or if you've ever been in it and you didn't understand what the hell was going on. And now the last reason why he won't let you go is because there's kids involved. All right. So I've seen a lot of situations where, and again, it could be married or non-married. It makes no difference. The reality is that once kids are involved, it can make it harder for some individuals to walk away from a relationship. Whether it be because they fear not being able to be in their child's life, they may fear being put on child support, they may fear that woman bringing another man around. And though I didn't mention this as a point, and this is supposed to be the last one, I'm just going to throw this quick bonus in real quick. Another reason why he won't let you go is because he don't want to see you with no other man. Some men are just possessive as hell. And their obsession with you, their infatuation, their unhealthy attachment leads them to them being so possessive that they refuse the idea of another man being with you. Drives them crazy. And unfortunately, it creates some really bad situations sometimes. But that is a factor in some scenarios, okay? But going back to the kids. So yes, the kids being involved can be a problem. Now, some of you might say, well, listen, you know what? If kids are involved, shouldn't the people stay together? Isn't that a good reason not to let go? No. Here's the reason why. People are doing more damage to their children staying together in unhealthy relationships versus letting go and creating healthier environments. If you're going to stay together and y'all can figure out how to make this a great relationship, a great relationship to where you're both happy and it sets a great example of love and commitment and all these beautiful things, all right, I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to fight it. Even though I still think if there's not a connection there, you don't belong there. But yeah, I'm not even going to make a but. If there's not a connection there, you don't belong there. I don't care what you think you can make work, because it's not sustainable. End of story. However, the point is, in 99, and I know I may be exaggerating when I say 99, but in a vast majority of cases, when people stay together for the kids, it does not create a healthy environment for the children. They stay together, but now the kids have to witness toxic energy, toxic relationships, bad example of what relationships, love, and marriage is. They start to have to deal with the backlash, because whether the individuals involved or not, whether the individuals involved realize it or not, the kids are seeing it. They're seeing the problems. They're seeing the tension. They're feeling the negative energy in the household. Also, when you have gotten done dealing with your partner and they done pissed you off or whatever, you don't realize how you're carrying that negative energy to your children. You don't realize how you might be short with your children, dismissive of your children. There's so many things that go wrong. So no, staying together for the kids is not healthy if you're not going to create a positive environment. And again, I would argue that if you're not where you belong, it's still not going to be healthy at the end of the day. The kids need to grow up and see positive, healthy environments and what real loving relationships are, so that they can have that same success in their life. Otherwise, you are setting them up for failure, as, and I say this with love, some of you have been set up for failure. Some of you are the result of this same dynamic of two people staying together for the kids and for various other reasons, and now it has created dysfunction within you and thrown you off and created all kinds of mess in your adult relationships, all right? And has created a need for healing that you have yet to address. And this is what you're going to put on the children if you do the same and keep the cycle going. So I encourage everyone to please, I understand that the desire to stay together is out of a good intent, but it's not going to accomplish what it needs to accomplish. So I would rather everyone heal and do what's best to create healthy, loving relationships and a healthy, positive environment. Hey, thank you for watching this video. Be sure to check this one out right here, and I'll see you there. Avoid people who get mad at you for wanting the same things they ask for. I just read that quote online. I paraphrased it a little bit, but we're talking about narcissists, all right? Now listen,